Now, I've played my fair share of Castlevanias. Circle of the Moon, Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia. Yeah, I'm cool. No, not really. I had fun with them, and they were great experiences, but only one Castlevania gripped me the whole way through. Symphony of the Night. Yeah, I know. To no one's surprise, the game that defines an entire franchise's direction is very good. So, when they announced Bloodstained through Kickstarter, I was super excited. At the same time, there was a kernel of doubt. I mean, I played Mighty Number 9, guys. Oh man, now that was a steaming hot pile of shit. But I had hope! And so I come to report to you today that Bloodstained is a pretty good game. It's a pretty good game, guys. It's a pretty good game. I just finished my first playthrough, and I definitely still have a lot to explore. I'm so excited and hyped to keep going, and it's fantastic to know that I have so much left to do. However, I have to be completely honest. I was absolutely not at all a fan in the first 30 minutes to an hour. Your mileage may vary on that beginning, but I personally was not hooked at first. That tutorial level was just ridiculously easy. Yes, I know it's a tutorial, but there's got to be a fine line between being educational and being engaging. And this tutorial level was really basic. It's a mostly linear path where it feels like they're slowly introducing you to the idea of branches and hidden passages. It's too rudimentary, too simple. The story and presentation also affect the opening moments of this engagement to a high degree. Having Solid Snake narrate your opener is pretty sick, but the execution of the setup and the world building is not up to par. I was wondering why I wasn't immediately drawn into this game's story like I was with a game like Symphony of the Night, and then I realized Castlevania has Dracula. One of the primary draws of the Castlevania series is to kill Dracula. It's a very straightforward and effective premise, especially with such a popular character to our culture. Symphony of the Night 2 had you play Alucard, Dracula's son, who's trying to stop his father. Like I said, simple but effective. Bloodstained does not have the luxury of a Dracula, and so enticing the player into the game through the story and the premise was always going to be a tougher hurdle when you think about it. I commend their attempt to try to give you some interesting lore and backstory in the beginning, but the concept's just not as compelling, and the execution especially isn't good enough. It's only a backdrop, setting up the world around you, but not really setting up the characters or the actual narrative you'll be a part of well enough to hook me in at the beginning. Rather than talk about how the world itself was affected by these alchemists' actions, talk more about how their actions affected the characters we'll be seeing and interacting with. They attempt too much exposition without creating enough interest. Literally, Jeeble and Miriam get like 1 or 2 lines of backstory that feels like a throwaway, and then the intro suddenly tries to bring them back in to make them feel like the main players. It just doesn't work. It doesn't help that the dialogue isn't that gripping at the start, and the animations for the dialogues are just lackluster, which doesn't help the actually decent voice acting. The concept and promotional art that I've seen for this game is fantastic, and it's a shame that it wasn't represented properly in the animation. It's stiff and harder to read than it should be. They should have just done 2D portraits with beautiful art, like the Persona games, with changing facial expressions. It just translates better. Also, those little pop-ups on the bottom right with the archives that came up so often got distracting. I phased them out after a while, but they disrupted the experience in the beginning. Now, I've been pooping on this game quite a bit. It's weird because I feel the complete opposite after finishing the game for the first time. I'm not trying to talk past the intro because I do want you to play the game, and I don't want to spoil people of something that hasn't even been out for 2 weeks. But, ironically, the problem here is that I don't like the intro. The reason why I started off by talking about Symphony of the Night and how good it is because I admittedly made the mistake of using that title to set the bar of my expectations for this one, which isn't fair. I may have been harder on it to start than I needed to be, but that's only because after watching some of the videos and trailers, like that complete graphical overhaul they revealed literally the month before release, and seeing the team's commitment to making this game the best it could be, I thought this game was worthy of great expectations. And in the long run, this game met them. I absolutely was not disappointed, and I'm so glad that I got past that intro. Like I said before, you can like the intro more than I did, and that's fine. My friends did. I just had higher expectations at the start, and that's on me. I got hooked after I got past the tutorial and all the expository dialogues, and finally got into the real meat of this game. I entered the castle. And that's when it became a real Castlevania game for me, instead of a game that was just trying to be Castlevania. This is truly where the adventure began. You got a wide variety of enemies, your cool bosses, a wicked assortment of weapons, equipment, and abilities. And most of all, this is where the exploration and branching pathways really come to form. This is where you have those aha moments, when you can finally uncover areas you previously couldn't. It brought back the satisfaction of delving into a great maze full of secrets and wonders, finding things that you never would have expected, building yourself up to be a badass demon slayer. I feel like everything markedly improves after the introduction. The dialogue, the storytelling, the gameplay, the characters, which I honestly did not give two hoots about, begin to have these charming interactions that let me know more about who they are and not what they are, if that makes any sense. I really got my Symphony of the Night moment when I re-entered the entrance at a higher level, with much stronger gear and more powers at my command. The moment I walked through that hallway again, and obliterated everything that came before me, I was like, yeah, this is good. This is real good. You feel like Alucard at the beginning of Symphony, where he has super strong gear equipped and absolutely wrecks those huge bears. I have had an amazing experience playing Bloodstained, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's into the Metroidvania genre. It's a little rough around the edges, but if you're willing to get past the first hour or so, you're in for a hell of a good time. Don't do the Switch version right now though, it's apparently not great, but definitely do the other versions. Also, you could say, Jeebles being evil. Oh god. Why? Why do I do this? Okay, bye.